Hey, this is Sherry with Happy Gut for Life, and today I am going to demonstrate how I make a basic cauliflower pizza crust. I love using cauliflower to make pizza crust for SCD because it is lower fat, low carb, and it's really easy to make, and I really like the taste of it. I usually have cauliflower on hand, rice cauliflower on hand, and all the other ingredients, so I can just easily throw it together. It's really easy and it doesn't take too long. When I make a cauliflower pizza crust, I pretty much always use frozen cauliflower that's already been riced. It's the quickest and easiest way to do it. You can also use fresh. You'll have to cook it a little longer. With the frozen, if you take it right out of the freezer, you'll have to cook it a little bit. So if I do it that way, I throw it in the microwave and cook it just for like a minute or two, like a little under what the directions say, just so it softens up a little bit. And this is Sheila, who you just heard come into the kitchen and shake her collar around while I was talking. She is waiting for her dinner. If you're using fresh, you'll want to do the same thing. You'll just cook it a little like al dente. Just soften it up enough that it will release the liquid when you squeeze it. I have 4 cups of riced frozen cauliflower here. And it's still, I put it out for a little while, but it didn't thaw all the way, so I'm going to cook it a little bit to soften it up. If you have frozen and you let it thaw all the way, you actually probably don't need to cook it at all before you squeeze out the water. You can also use fresh cauliflower. You probably want probably 2 heads. 1 might do depending on the size of it. So I'm starting out with 4 cups, and it's going to actually go down to like 1. So you want to make sure you use a lot because you're going to squeeze all the water out, and that really reduces it down. If you're using fresh cauliflower, you're going to want to cook it a little bit. You can boil it just so it's like al dente. You don't want to get it all mushy, but you want it to be soft enough that you can squeeze the water out. You can also saute it very lightly on kind of medium-low heat so you're not browning it. Or you can microwave it to cook it. But you just want it to be soft enough, both with this frozen one and with fresh, that you can squeeze the water out. So I've sauteed it for just a few minutes. The ice is all melted. It's gotten a little soft, so I'm just going to remove it from the heat and let it sit there for a minute so it can cool off a little bit, so it's not real hot water when I'm squeezing it. So I have my cooked, slightly softened cauliflower in this mesh bag. It's the same bag I used when I made my cashew milk, if you watched that video. So this is a nut milk bag, but it works great for cauliflower as well, and it's really fine, and it's really easy to clean. You can use a clean dish towel as well, but I like this a lot better because it's way less messy. So you can see I'm just squeezing out the water. The secret to a good cauliflower pizza crust is that you squeeze out as much of the liquid as you can. As you can see, we start out with 4 cups of the partially frozen cauliflower, and now we have just over a cup. And that is just the right amount to make a good sized pizza crust, probably 10 to 12 inch. We'll see once we get it in the pan. Then we're just going to mix a few ingredients in there. It doesn't really take too much. We have 1 egg. We have a 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And we have a teaspoon of salt. I usually like to add some minced garlic in there too, but I don't have any right now. As I'm filming this video right now, we are in the stay-at-home phase of the COVID-19 pandemic quarantine, so I have not been able to get more garlic, but it is totally fine without it. You can also add any other herbs that you like, Italian, like oregano, basil, but I'm making this one plain today, so you get to see the very basic recipe. So you just get it stirred in there so everything is mixed together. So that looks pretty good. Then we just are going to put it in the pan and bake it. I have a pan lined with parchment paper. I actually have a silicone liner under there too, just in case it spills over a little bit. I don't want it to, it will stick to a metal pan, so you definitely want to at least use parchment paper on there. Then we just put our mixture right on here like this. Then you just flatten it out into a round shape as thin as you can. Maybe not as thin as you can, but about a 1/4 inch thick is about right. So this makes probably about, looks like about a 10 inch, like I was saying. If you want a bigger crust, you would need to use more cauliflower. It's also, this is probably about the size you want to do, so if you want more, you'd have to maybe just do 2 pizzas instead of 1 and double your amount of cauliflower. And then what I like to do is just brush a little bit of olive oil on the crust. It kind of makes it brown up and crisp up a little bit more, so I'm going to put that on there. And now we are going to put it in a 400-degree oven for about 30 minutes. So you'll cook it for about 30 minutes, maybe 25. Just keep an eye on it when it gets to be closer to the done time to make sure it hasn't gotten too brown. But I like to get it like pretty evenly golden brown on top, a little crispy, and then it will be ready to put your toppings on. Here we have our cooked cauliflower crust. As you can see, it is pretty golden on top and crispy around the edges. That's about where you want it. You could go a little bit more if you wanted, but it is ready now to be topped. So once it's done, then you're going to put on your toppings, sauce, cheese, meat, vegetables, whatever you like on a pizza. And then you're just going to bake it for about 10 more minutes, basically until your cheese is melted. And that is how I make a cauliflower pizza crust. For more of my recipes, visit happygutforlife.com.